We begin our story with a great shining light coming from a source far more powerful than any mere mortal could ever begin to imagine or experience. This shining light comes from the center of a great kingdom. This great kingdom sitting on a landscape that is set apart from the eyes and ears of any natural-born flesh-made humanoid or creature that rests in the world of the Khomor. No, in this land, a light that has such an aura that the shining and glistening of it goes to and fro in all directions here. This light comes from the very center of this great kingdom. Within this great kingdom are streets of gold that go far around the city, through several different side streets and main streets, and ultimately all these paths that come and eventually lead to one particular center, and that is indeed this center where a shining light is a beacon for all that reside here. Along the different paths of gold in the streets here, there are many structures, but it is hard to look at all these structures without pointing out the several magnificent mansions that of incredible architecture that just gleams and just seems to take in the glistening light that comes from the center. And within these streets and within these mansions, within these structures that ultimately reside here are people who have once lived a painful and a hurtful life, but now reside in such a place where there is no pain, and there is no sadness, and there is no sorrow, and there's no infirmities. There's no sickness. There's no paralysis. There is no blindness. There is no amputations. There is no pain. And ultimately, it is a joyful place for all of those who live here. This entirety filled with this kingdom, and even beyond the kingdom, glistening forests of trees with a golden aura, grass that seems to take different colors as people pass it. It gives off a color that seemingly a human eye wouldn't be able to even comprehend or recognize. These fields, these trees, this kingdom, this is what it means to live within the Eternal Khomor. And the Eternal Khomor is the home of a great being that has been mentioned by many names throughout the histories of time. This great being is known as Yatser. Yatser is known for creating and forming the world of the Khomor and the expansive space that's around it. And our story begins here in the dwelling place where he has resided and created. Our particular story opens up within these fields as, in seemingly an instant, a figure finds his near perfect bodily form all of a sudden appearing in the midst of a field. And as he appears within the fields of the grass begins to change from green to a light blue to a pink to an orange. Just each little movement across the grass seemingly changing the color as the grass delights and jumps and feels overjoyed amidst each step that this humanoid takes here. Adam, why don't you go ahead and introduce us to your character?
Oh, certainly, Johnny. I'd be happy to. So, you all see a humanoid figure. If you were to look at him in these Khomorian terms, like he's roughly about probably 6'4", 6'5". Probably if you'd want to give him weight to he'd be around 225 to 230 pounds. Very well built, muscular arms, dressed in a very white robe. But Gineod is his name, and Gineod is a happy individual, as many of the people here in the Eternal Khomor are. He's not wearing any shoes, but he is wearing these kind of long white pants as well, but he is walking around within the field. So that is kind of a brief picture of Gineod at this point.
Thank you for that description, Adam. As Gineod walks through the field, whenever you take a deep breath in, just the air within this place just feels clean. It feels pure. It feels very, very pleasant to the body and to while here in the Eternal Khomor, your body doesn't necessarily require any oxygen. It is still delightful for you to be able to breathe in and take this. As Gineod is looking around the field here, go ahead and give me a perception check.
Okay, that is a 14.
14. Well, with a 14, as you're looking around here, you can you turn to your left and you begin to see a wolf that begins to run through the field and is seemingly enjoying his moments here as he's running through and chasing a butterfly of multiple colors that just captivates him. And he stops all of a sudden and takes a look at you for a moment before going back to chasing that butterfly. In another moment here, all of a sudden your vision starts to look towards the skies, as within the skies here you see a majestic looking bald eagle that is flying over you here. And you watch as the eagle, with its left eye looking down towards you, you take delight in knowing that you are seeing such a wonderful sight, as the sight of a bald eagle on the Khomor was rare enough. But to be able to see them here in their perfect majesty, as Yatser had created them, it was even more of a pleasure to be able to witness that. And then in another moment, to your right, you see a bear just strolling out, containing this blue aura as it's coming out, and as it kind of breathes and gives out the bear growl, you can begin to see its joy as it kind of plops down, sits on its bottom, and just taking in the scenery.
I think Gineod feels a lot of joy as he begins to see all of the unique creatures. I say unique because I know they existed on the Khomor, but seeing them at their fullest potential, at their most perfect peak, Gineod takes a lot of joy in that.
As Gineod is witnessing these animals kind of coming out here amidst the field. Gineod, you feel a presence around you here, and as you turn around, you see two particular figures. Both appear to be dwarves, and as you look at them, they here within the Eternal Khomor, also having a perfect bodily figure, no cuts or bruises, no disability of any kind, just in a perfect state. And they look upon you, and they approach you together. One, seemingly middle-aged, a middle-aged dwarf, a fluffy brown beard with brown hair that kind of goes down to the shoulders. And then another one to the left who appears to be in a childlike form. And as they approach, the child obviously has not grown a beard up to this point. And as the child kind of approaches, you begin to see that his hands look a little gruff. But it's also the kind of look that he seemingly has had from potentially playing in the dirt or doing something that other children, something that makes children dirty. And these two approach you. What would you like to do?
I think Gineod will walk up to him here and just give a friendly smile, and I approach them saying, "Greetings, my name is Gineod. I don't know if I've seen you here before. Who are you?"
The two dwarves look to you, also both smiling, and they said, "It's nice to make your acquaintance, Gineod. My name is Zeph, and this was my son, Deus. We are new here to the Eternal Khomor, and I gotta say, I've believed in this place for so long, but I never thought it would make me feel as great as it does. Wouldn't you say the same, Deus?" "Oh, yes, Dad, I do. I think it's great. I think it's wonderful. Everything is so funny. Look, Dad." And Zeph looks to just behind you to your left, and it causes you to turn around as well, Gineod. And as you look at the same thing they look at, all of a sudden a flower of golden petals, kind of a red in the middle that sprouts a little bit higher than the other lily petals. And it is a beautiful sight, but also just as surprising is how quickly it sprouted. And it's captivating, and it takes you by surprise at first. But then you realize, and are not surprised, because in Yatser's domain, the physics and the science and the growth, it all happens according to how perfect he has made it.
I think Gineod smiles here upon looking at it, and as Gineod smiles, he looks down at Deus, and he goes, "Hey, you want to play some tag?"
And Deus looks up at him, and he looks at his dad. He goes, "Yes, I would love that very much. But you're going to be it first." And as Deus kind of laughs and chuckles to himself a little bit, he touches you in your torso, is seemingly saying that you were it. And as he turns around, he starts to run a little bit. His legs begin to move very quickly, and his legs start to help him create some distance from you for a moment, realizing how his legs have no limit to the kind of speed that he could get up to, because there's no muscle fatigue here, and there's no being out of breath. There's seemingly no limits to his body that makes it seem that. And as you chase him, is there anything specific like you do whenever you chase him?
No, not in particular. I continue to move, and at one point I'll say that I see where he's running, and I think to myself that space that he's in. What happens whenever I just think of the space that he's in?
Well, Gineod, as you think in the space where he's in, all of a sudden you just appear into the space where he was running towards, and he lets out this surprising laugh as he is amazed and enthralled at the fact that you just appeared right in front of him. And what do you do? And do you tag him in this moment?
Yeah, I sure do. And then I begin taking off the other way.
He laughs whenever you tag him, as Zeph continues to watch on and begins laughing amidst the tag that you all are playing here. And while you're playing tag, Zeph seems to just look around and just take in the scenery here. And a smile never leaves his face. And soon as he gives a brief look around, he can't help but stop staring at the middle light within the kingdom that hovers there and resides there and gives a never-ending light to the Eternal Khomor here. A light that means there is no night, but a light that is also not from the sun. So it is hard to even classify it as a day, like a daylight, because there is no cycle of day and night here in the midst of the Eternal Khomor. Gineod, as you are running around here, your focus all of a sudden shifts. You feel a warmth, and you also see a faint aura of light behind you out of your peripheral vision. And as you turn around, you see this ball of light that seems to emanate this calm and peaceful feeling. And as you take a look at it, you know very well who it is, as you have seemed to have become very acquainted with this being in the time that you're here. And this is indeed the essence of Yatser. What do you wish to do?
Well, I think Gineod in this moment feels the overwhelming peacefulness and calmness it brings here, and it seems very pulling. And so I get closer to the light and kind of just extend both of my hands out, and I take in that warmth and take in that feeling, and I greet Yatser. Hello, Most Holy One. I am so grateful to be in your presence.
The aura kind of glistens for a moment and says, "Hello, young Gineod. I am so happy you are here as well. And I see you have met our newest citizens here within our wonderful home. And you look back at Zeph and Deus. Deus is still running around. And you also see as Deus is running around, all of a sudden he starts just kind of lift up in the air, almost as if he's hovering or flying, and he's getting used to this newfound ability again, where his body is seemingly not giving him any limits at this point. And as your focus turns back to Yatser here. He gives off a little more warmth and even his light comes a little closer to you. He says, Gineod, I would like to have a conversation with you. Please, why don't you listen to my words for just a moment, and I would be more than happy after this to watch you spend more time with Zeph and Deus here as they get used to their new home with me.
Gineod turns and looks at Zeph and Deus for a moment, and Gineod nods his head at Zeph and then turns back around to Yatser.
It is in this moment where there is no real exterior noise between this conversation between you and Yatser. And as Yatser gets close, his voice, true and glorious and powerful in its speech. Gineod, I have a mission that I would like for you to undertake.
Me? A mission? Of course, I would do anything for you, Yatser.
And if Yatser had a smile within this form, you know it. And he says, I know you would, son. I am wanting to do a miracle for someone on the Khomor. And I'm afraid this person is in need of one in a very specific but a very mighty way. And I think it requires the participation of someone who has seen me and has seen my home. And I think that you are the person that would be a great bridge between this person and myself.
Wow, Yatser, what an honor. Yes, I will go. Tell me what I must do.
Yatser pauses for a moment, but you feel the warmth of him again. Gineod, there is a person in the year of 1990, 10 years before a powerful event is supposed to happen on the Khomor. And this person, her name is Milka.
Did you say Milka, Johnny?
Yes, her name is Milka. She is a female dwarf who has endured a very tragic hardship. And in the midst of her tragic hardship, she will not turn her face to me. She has pushed me to the side. And I want to heal her hurt. But in order to heal her hurt, I need her to trust in me again. And this hurt that she feels is getting in the way of her trust of me.
I think in this moment, Gineod just kind of pauses and ponders on this. Yatser, if I may ask, what is this hardship?
He says, Gineod, the miracle will happen if you go to the Khomor and you find it for yourself.
Gineod pauses here. Okay. I can certainly do that. So her name is Milka. She's a female dwarf. Is there any other information I need to know in particular as part of this miracle?
And Yatser says to Gineod, well, there is nothing more that I will give you at this time, because this is also an opportunity for you to experience life on the Khomor itself. So, I ask you, Gineod, will you undertake this mission for me?
Gineod kneels down on one knee and looks up towards the light of Yatser here. Yes.
A smile comes across Yatser's form, and a flash of light appears, like it blinks repeatedly as you sense the joy in Yatser. And Yatser says, very good. Why don't you have some more time with Zeph and Deus? Meet me where I reside within the middle of the kingdom. And as Yatser says that essence of light fades. And as your vision turns to face Zeph and Deus, as they look at you with great pleasure themselves, and Deus runs back over and touches you on the leg and says, "Tag, you're it."
I chase him, and I am satisfied to play that game of tag for as long as Deus wants to.
Well, that time to some would be like an eternity, but here, whether it's short, whether it's long, it is fulfilling to be able to run and play and have no hurts and have no pains as you finish your game of tag. Deus approaches you and hugs your leg, and he says, "It was so wonderful to meet you and to play with you. I hope we can again soon."
Gineod pats the boy on the head and ultimately kneels down and looks him in the face. Deus, I would love that very much. I stand back up and I look at Zeph, and I hold my hand out for a handshake. And I said, I would love to speak with you more whenever it is that I return.
And as you hold out your hand, ready for a handshake, Zeph closes in on you and gives you what to any normal human being would be a very crushing hug. But here in the Eternal Khomor, the hug feels strong, not crushing, but strong and warm and full of embrace.
So Gineod lets go of the embrace and gives one last smile at Zeph and thinks of the position where Yatser is in the middle of the kingdom where he gives his light. And as I think it, I want to go there.
Okay. And so as you go there, you see the light at its fullest capacity. It's like sitting in front of the sun without feeling the harsh effects of the extreme heat, but you sit in front of Yatser, flying in the air. And that large, gleaming light beams and beats like a heartbeat. And as Yatser looks down at you in that glisten, he says, "I love you, Gineod. This will not be the last time we speak. Know that I go with you, and I shall always be with you." And within that moment, a rush fills your body as all of a sudden the light of Yatser starts to be pushed back and fade and fade and fade until it is a light that is still there, but it is a distant light. And as you begin to fade from the Eternal Khomor itself, you find yourself being pushed back. You can see kind of very rapidly and quickly this long force of a bridge that seemingly connects to the Eternal Khomor here before you see a crystal waterfall of sorts that begins sending crystallized water falling down into this eternal expanse, and it just continues to fall and fall and fall, and soon you find yourself falling with it. And then as you fall with it, all of a sudden your vision begins to see a number of stars in this expansive space here. And in the midst of this expansive space, these rocks all of a sudden just start to attach to your body and begin to form this cocoon around you. And as it forms this cocoon around you, the lights of the stars all of a sudden begin to fade, and soon it encompasses your whole body. And all you see within your visual is the rock that forms around you and has made this protective cocoon around you as you go down and down and down. You feel your descent quicken as your body encased within this meteorite begins to feel heat along your back and the back of your legs as you lay there encased in this meteorite. And as the descent becomes faster and faster and faster, all of a sudden, before you can even conjure up a thought, boom, the impact occurs and your descent has stopped. And Gineod, you fall unconscious. Gineod, some time seems to pass, or so you think, but you wake from your unconsciousness to the sound of talking as you feel your legs drug up these stairs. Your head has a sharp pain to it, but as you kind of glance and open your eyes somewhat, there is a torchlight that faintly gives a radius of light to this wide hallway that you seem to be taken through here. And then soon, these creatures that are holding you by the arms, dragging your legs across the floor and across the stairs, you're ultimately dropped into this large throne room. And as you are dropped here, is there anything specific you'd like to do or look around and see in particular?
Johnny, I do have one question. Am I naked?
Well, I guess that is an important question, isn't it? I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and roll a D100, 0 to 49. Is you have clothing, but it is battered with holes in it. 50 to 99, you are definitely naked.
Okay. That is a 44.
All right, so you are not naked. I don't know which one you were kind of hoping you would get. But you are not naked, and your clothing is tattered, and as you kind of come to, You feel a little bit of strength come into your legs, but still a sharp pain stays within your head at this point. Your arms and back a little sore, but ultimately you are able to kind of come to here. Why don't you go ahead and give me a perception check just to see what you can see around the room here.
That is a 13 minus 1, so that would be a 12.
Okay, so with a 12, you have dark vision, right?
Yes, Asimov, do have dark vision.
Okay, that's what I thought. I just figured I'd check. As you're looking around here, you are within this stone throne room of some kind. The smell of an acidic nature, like a stone corroding, fills the room here. And as you're looking around, you look behind you and you can see two of these scaly humanoid-looking creatures that are guarding the door behind you. And as you look to your left and to your right, in front of you, you can see even more guards that look like these scaly humanoid-looking creatures. And atop, in front of you, you can see a pile of what appears to be gold and other treasures. And along the piles of gold, you can see two others of these black, scaly humanoid-like creatures. These scaly humanoid creatures are all black. And you see a smaller one down at the base of the pile, looking at you very closely. But ultimately, what grabs your attention is a massive creature that has these black scales and looks a lot like these, except he has 4 legs and wings and a long tail, and the smell of this acidic nature just, it comes from him. And as you're looking here, this massive creature takes one step forward onto this big pile of gold, and then another step, and your ears begin to tingle from the sound of gold falling down the pile. And to say this is a massive treasure hoard would be an understatement here. But this massive creature comes and gazes a little bit closer at you as its long neck begins to protrude, and you can see the grimy yellow teeth and the saliva that kind of falls from it. Think of it almost like Alien, like when the aliens' saliva would drip and this corrosive acid would come from it. Think of it very similarly in that regard, except this is a much larger creature. And as he appears to look at you very closely, he says, "It seems we have a visitor, do we? Who are you?"
My name is Gineod. I am not from here. I'm from the Eternal Khomor.
A silence comes over the room for a moment as the creature kind of just grumbles. That seems quite doubtful. I've seen others of your kind before, but I do admit, as I look upon you, you definitely seem to be different than the others.
I'm sorry, I have to admit, I don't know who I'm talking to here. May I ask, who you are?
How dare you not know who this is? Says the voice of a creature standing at the top, seemingly the one to the left. And this large creature turns quickly to the one on the left, seemingly putting him in his place. And as this large creature turns towards you, he unfurls his large, massive wings that seem to take up the the whole side of the throne room from left to right here, his tail whipping around as coins kind of fall off of it. And he goes, "My name is Zorakus the Corrosive King. But I would not expect you to know that, seeming as you are not from this planet, it would seem."
Well, it is nice to make your acquaintance, Zorakus.
Gineod, why don't you go ahead and make me a wisdom saving throw?
Oh boy, this is gonna be good. That'll be a 5.
A 5, okay. Well, as Zorakus continues to make conversation with you, his presence starts to loom over your body, and you are considered frightened as you stand before Zorakus here. And he now completely steps off of his throne of gold here, and he begins to step towards you. At each claw that steps forward, making a rumble within the floor itself. And he begins to encircle you, the other guards getting out of the way as he does. He says, "I don't know what to make of you, Gineod of the Eternal Khomor. Whether this is a sign from the one above that your kind believe in, whether it is a threat issued from Polis City itself, whether you are this alien encased in the meteorite from space, or whether you are just one of the others." And as he kind of stops his sentence there, his mouth gets awfully close to yours, and the teeth bare literally nose to nose in front of you, and the acid begins to just drip from the teeth as he looks at you. He says, "With that all being possible, I will say I know your purpose for being here. It is to die." And as he rears his head back like he's gonna go in for a lunge, what do you wish to do?
I stand very frightened, and I literally grovel in front of him. I say, Please, Zorakus, I have come here because I'm here to meet a dwarf, a female dwarf."
Another silence comes over the room. And then all of a sudden, the sound of erupting laughter just comes around the throne room, except for the one standing at the base of the treasure. All the other guards, the two on the piles of treasure, just laughing uncontrollably. And the one that interrupted at first, he goes, "Those are not worth chasing, young one." And you can hear the slight chuckle, not an outward laugh, but a slight chuckle. And saliva continues to come forward and getting closer, and now he puts his claw in front of your foot and begins to step forward as if ready to not let you go anywhere.
It's at this point I actually shout, "Wait!"
Okay. Avery, why don't you go ahead and describe your character to us?
Well, you, Gineod, you see as kind of detailed before by Johnny, a black scale reptilian creature. He will eventually let you know this, but he is a dragonborn, of course. And he's shorter than the other ones. Most of the other guards here are about your height, but he appears to be maybe 5'11", maybe 6 foot. Very slender, definitely not a lot of strength to his appearance, definitely not muscular in nature. You see these thick black scales, these curved teeth, and he's dressed in this black leather, and he currently has a robe on, though this is only really merely for whenever he has to be in the throne room itself. But as I see Zorakus get closer, I see, wait!
Zorakus turns very quickly towards you, and he goes, "Do you have something to say this time, Drexiath?"
I am definitely a little fearful amidst the presence of Zorakus here as well, even though I am a dragon boy under his domain. But I explained to Zorakus, you know, it's been a while since we have had a really good Colosseum fight. You know, the previous soldiers that fought in the Colosseum, they don't last very long. But how many more people, how many more creatures would it bring to our Colosseum if we had a quote-unquote alien from the sky come as a warrior to fight within our Colosseum? And, you know, you do as you see fit in regards to the fights itself, whether he's fighting actual soldiers or other creatures, you know, but I mean, I would say that's certainly bound to bring in a lot of folk and maybe even more loyalty to you, fear of you. I mean, that's just a suggestion. I mean, I'm sure Merconis and Gineod-Adam thought of that before me, but I mean, you know, you can start the Colosseum fights again. People have to bring treasure in order to see the fights and see what's going on. It'd make your horde even bigger.
Go ahead and make a persuasion check, Drexiath. And, you know, for the sake of it, I'll give it to you with advantage. It still won't be an easy check, but with your time here and, you know, the amount of time you've spent around Zorakus, you'd gain maybe a little more favor here, so.
I will take the advantage. That is going to be a 17.
Okay, with a 17, Zorakus turns his back towards Gineod at this point and looks closer at you, and he goes, "Bold suggestion, Drexiath, but a good one." As he looks up at Merconis and Gineod-Adam, who are looking down at Drexiath with glares of unfavor because of how bad they look in comparison to Drexiath's suggestion. And Zorakus walks back onto the pile of gold and turns back around to Gineod. "Guards!" And the two in the back guarding the door begin to walk towards you, Gineod, and grab you by the arm. He says, "Let's see what kind of warrior he is. Take him to the prisons." And quickly, they grab your arms and they begin to pull you. Your arms still sore from the impact of the collision from the fall that you had within the meteorite here. And you are swiftly taken away. And before you know it, you're taken out of the room. Drexiath, you are alone for the moment as the other Dragonborn begin to walk out. Do you stay or do you walk out with them?
Yeah, I try to walk out with everyone else. Unfortunately, very visibly that I don't want to be in the presence of Zorakus at this point.
Okay, it's as you start to walk out, Zorakus positions himself in front of you and leans in close to you face to face, just as he does with Gineod. You should remember not to interrupt me next time.
Yes, Father. My apologies. I look down as I say this.
Zorakus gives a grumble. He takes these big steps. And steps back behind the treasure hoard and lets you walk freely. Drexiath, upon exiting the room, you see a guard that seems to be carrying more treasure here. And there's a couple other guards with just like handfuls, but there's this one that's got a pile that he is just trying to carry with both of his hands. And as he's moving forward, both guards are kind of talking to each other, guiding each other to, oh no, watch your step there. You're about to come to the door entry, as kind of how it is whenever you're trying to move stuff out of a house or out of an apartment. It's kind of like that. But as you see this, within this big treasure hoard here, you see this book fall out of the treasure hoard. What do you do?
I pick up the book, and I go to put it back on the treasure hoard that it fell from.
As you go to do that, the guard actually slips through the door, and they close the door, kind of barring sight and barring opportunity here. You could certainly reopen the door back up if you'd like to give it back to the guard to put along with the rest of the treasure hoard.
Before I do that, let me look at the book. What does it look like?
Yeah, go ahead and give me a perception check.
That is an 18.
Yeah, with an 18, it's a book with a black cover, and it's laced with this dark maroon leather. The book is untitled, but it contains this visage of a humanoid-like creature. It's got 2 legs, 2 regular arms seemingly protruding from the shoulder sockets, just like a regular humanoid. But then just below the regular arms, there are 6 tentacles that come from around the torso within this visage.
Okay, I will... Is there anybody else around me?
Based off your perception check previously, I would say no.
Okay, after doing a quick look just to my left and to my right, I will open book.
Okay. So you open the book, and as you come to the first page is empty. You come across the second and third page, and those are also empty.
I flip through the other pages too, just until I find something.
So you continue to flip through the pages here, trying to see if there is anything within this book on its pages, but there is nothing written. There are no pictures. It is a blank book.
I look at it confused for a moment and look back at the cover again. And I go back to the inside cover here. Like, is there any kind of inscription or anything even within the inside cover?
As you look at the inside cover here, it is completely blank. But as you come back to that first page again, it's blank at first, but then all of a sudden ink starts to appear on it.
Oh.
Ink begins to appear on the page and form 2 words that appear on the first page. The words say, "Hello, Drexiath," and it contains the sigils of a number of what look to be spells that show beneath the two words, "Hello, Drexiath." And that is where we will end part 1 of the pilot session of the Archives of Domaselum.